everyone. This is Henny Espinosa with Just Wish Foundation. Today we are joined by Kelly Benchigip, co-founder of Sungai Watch, and their mission is to protect and restore Indonesia's rivers by developing and designing simple technologies to stop the flow of plastic pollution from going into the ocean. Thank you for joining us in Just Wish Foundation, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me, Annie. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure is ours. So, Kelly, let's talk a little bit about your background. So your family moved from Paris, France to Bali, Indonesia in 2005. Now, I've been to Bali and I think it's absolute paradise. But when you and your siblings were growing up there, you saw the rapid impacts of plastic pollution. So tell us about that, what that was like.
So that's correct. When we moved there, as you say, it is still a paradise island, but it's been just experiencing more and more trash, just covering the beach, covering beautiful landscapes. And we were lucky enough to live just 300 meters away from the beach. So we quickly got to call the beach our playground. And I think the first few years we didn't see much. It was like pristine. And over time, we started seeing a bit more plastic packagings laying here and there in the water. And so we quickly try to ask ourselves the right question. Why is it here? How come? What can we do to make it stop? And that's when we really started our movement of cleanup. And it's been a 14-year journey now that has taken different shapes and forms.
I mean, you guys went beyond just asking about it. You actually decided to do something about it as teenagers. So you, your siblings, Gary and Sam, decided to step up and you began cleaning the beaches, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We started this, it was a Facebook page, so a movement called Make a Change Bali on Facebook, where we would try to invite our friends, anyone passing by to really just pick up trash on the weekends, because we did go to school. And we quickly realized that, unfortunately, as we would clean up different beaches every weekend, the trash would tend to come back the next day. So we quickly understood that it was very superficial work, but at least it was starting to bring awareness to the issue.
How did your parents react when you guys did this? Were you raised in a household where your parents kind of instilled the values in you guys, and when it comes to protecting the environment, when it comes to becoming young leaders?
I think they've always instilled in us the value of respect, so respecting our direct environment, people around us, not necessarily like the environment as we call it and we picture it as the ocean, the beach. But I think because we were spending so much time in this one place that we got super fond of very quickly for some very understandable reasons, we just wanted to protect it. It's difficult to pinpoint one moment where we had like a haha moment of us deciding what we wanted to do. I think it was very, very organic. We didn't have a roadmap specifically. And we just had our bare hands, motivation, we just wanted to try something and see where it would go. But no real plan and no plan of I never imagined I would be still working on the same topic a few years later.
But Kelly, did you realize at that time that you and your siblings really have the capacity to influence, to inspire people? Like at that young age, when you see other people taking on the causes that you guys pushed for, did you guys feel that, wow, this is actually something that we can really do to better our community by really urging people to take part in it?
That's a really good question, and I don't think I've ever thought about it that way. But back in the days, so it was probably 2007, 2008, beach cleanups was not something that is as trendy as it is now, and actually people would really question what we were doing.
I see.
They were more asking us, why do you even bother? It's just the trash is just gonna be taken over by the ocean. It's gonna disappear. So I don't think that the perception was quite the same, but that did not make us stop. I think we really continued because we did see that on the longer term, and as we were gathering people, so we did gather quite a few people that would not necessarily come every week, but at times we had 200 people show up. So that kind of gave a good sign that you still had people interested, and at least if it was not for the environment, it was a cool social event.
Yeah. So, well, you guys thought about creative campaigns too. Like, you guys were becoming environmental warriors. So you had this platform and people were watching. And so you would have these campaigns such as you were running against plastic pollution, right? And you were kayaking across the most polluted rivers. Tell us about those projects.
Yeah, so moving on from the beach cleanup as teenagers, I think that's when social media really became a very powerful tool to drive positive change. And Gary, one of my brothers, went to film school, and that's when he really realized the power of image. So the concept was, how do you use image, videos, and the social media platform to really drive change? So it was that time when the feeds started to be full of different video formats, very short, and we were like, how can we try to find a captivating content style? So it had to be a mix of maybe adventure, maybe like crazy ideas to talk about a topic that may be boring to quite a few people, like plastic pollution. So that's when we combine our passion for adventure, passion for the environment, and Sam, as you said, the youngest of us three, he ran from New York City to Los Angeles. So he ran during 6 months, and the idea was to bring the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean and kind of try to meet as many people as possible in the country and remind everyone that we all have a part to play in protecting our oceans.
Wow. Speaking of content, so you guys decided to you created a media and production company, right? An environmental media and production company it's called Make a Change, right? What kind of stories have you uncovered with this production company?
So the idea was to produce these expeditions, so the run and the kayaking down the world's most polluted river, just because through that sense of in any adventure, you'll meet different profiles and different people, and everything is quite spontaneous. You try to plan as much as possible, but you always encounter some amazing people. So the idea was very much to film communities or individuals that are doing amazing work on the ground in very local areas, but do not necessarily have a platform to share their messages and their just the amazing impact that they have. So that was kind of the one mission. So it was very much just putting forth incredible people, mainly in Indonesia, mainly around environmental issues. But then whenever we would travel, because we always had a camera with us, it was, again, just like any cool meetups that we would have, really film it, portray them in the best light. And then that was a powerful tool. We still have it. We are less active because now we have a new project, but I think it's a great tool to continue to spread awareness and positive messages.
Great. So now fast forward to 2020, right? You and your siblings decided to establish Sungai Watch. So tell us about it. What does it mean? What does this word mean? I know that it has become a public movement that focuses on preserving the rivers in Bali by cleaning up trash. Now, why do you believe that one of the simplest ways to clean our rivers is really cleaning our ocean is really starting in our rivers? So tell us about that.
Yeah, so taking the experience of the beach cleanups, of Make a Change as a media production, I think it was, as you say, 2020, COVID started. We were all in different continents. Sam was in the US, I was in Europe, Gary was in Indonesia. And so we couldn't travel, we couldn't produce any more content. And it really felt like the right point for us to reflect on the work that we were doing, seeing how we could maximize impact. I think raising awareness is always very, very powerful, and we continue to do that. But how can we have like on the ground impact and go back to our cleanup roots? As I said earlier, because we would realize that as we were cleaning up the beach, the next day it would get polluted again. We try to look for the main source of that trash, and that's when we discovered it was rivers. So Sungai means river in Indonesian, and we feel like that rivers are very much the connection point between life on land to life in the ocean. It's a perfect vehicle where trash ends up. in Indonesia, in Bali especially, you do have a lot of open dumps of trash because there is a waste of waste management. So as soon as it rains, everything will just flush down in the river. And that's why we took it upon ourselves to try to clean as much of Bali rivers as possible. Now we're expanding to Indonesia by installing very, very simple trash barriers to literally just stop the flow of plastic pollution from going straight into the ocean.
Wow, so barriers. Why are these barriers kind of the perfect tool, you think? And take us kind of to the workflow that comes into this process.
So they're very, very simple technologies. I think there are different names for them, but a lot of other NGOs and communities around the world use very similar concepts. So it's very much anything that you can use to make to float for it to really just stop a piece of trash from going through. And why they're super powerful is not only for that physical like filter, but it's also such a visual tool for people to see and be reminded on a daily basis that your trash just does not disappear. It has to end up somewhere. And if you know that in your vicinity there is no proper infrastructure to deal with that waste, it will most likely end up in the environment, meaning most likely in the rivers and most likely in the ocean. We have a team that goes and clean 180 barriers on a daily basis.
Wow.
And we always place these barriers in very visual places. So whether it's by a bridge, by a river path, just to really try to get as many people to think about their waste on a daily basis. They know that we clean it up every day. So if you see new trash, it really means like it's fresh, that it's been recently thrown away. And the idea is really to see a decline in the waste we collect. We collect data on a daily basis for each barrier. So we have a really good understanding now from a geographical perspective of where the government should try to increase their investments for specific projects of waste reduction, of waste collection. So we use these barriers as like information bases as well to be able to kind of advise the government to take the right action.
And once the trash is collected, where does it go?
You're right, the collection part is the first part. Then we bring it to one of our sorting facilities. We have 7 of them currently, where we will manually sort the trash into over 30 different categories. And the reason why we do that is very much to try to upcycle as much as possible. Not all types of waste are recyclable in Indonesia. The idea is also to collect data on the different types of packaging that we find the most of, to again use that information for the government to try to ban single-use items, to also highlight the top polluters that we find the most of. So we do go into the brand layers and we list who we find the most of, to then engage in constructive conversations with these big corporations as well. Really, because we could continue, unfortunately, to clean up and sort and try to recycle as much as possible, like for the many years to come. But the idea is very much to reduce that production and consumption of plastic packaging.
So is there a lot of collaboration, and have there been responses, from the government side, from the big corporation side? Because, sometimes when you're doing this, if there's no systemic change, then, in the long run, it's not sustainable, right? There has to be kind of cooperation in different levels. And so have they been responsive to your efforts?
Yes and no. I would say they acknowledge the work. They are grateful for the work, but we do hope for more and quicker change. The Indonesian government has announced a very ambitious plan, but by 2030, I think it's in 7 years' time, there could be more drastic, progressive implementations from now until 2030. Just knowing that population is increasing, consumption is going to increase. From the corporations, they also acknowledge the work that we do, and I think they always they want to change. I think it because change is scary and it might require a lot of investment in terms of finding more sustainable packaging alternatives. It is taking also a very, very long time. So we are keeping the pressure. And what's
Yeah.
amazing is that
Yeah.
now you do have that a global plastic treaty being in place, so you have that pressure from every country in the world.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very, very constructive. And I think Indonesia is an interesting case study, along with many other countries. But we are using the data that we gather to very much push for hopefully quicker change.
That data is so important, and when it comes to the community, how have they responded to seeing these barriers, to seeing the videos that you guys post about it? You think the community is keeping this in mind, learning a lesson or two from this?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's why we're very hopeful about change, and we are currently working in 30 different villages. So whenever we place a barrier, we need to ask permission to the head of village, and that's how we engage in the conversation from the get-go, really explaining the purpose, the mission, the fact that the idea is to kind of remove the barrier as fast as possible, because it won't have a use anymore. And we've had 2 barriers that we've had to move so far, which is quite positive, and it took it was quicker than we expected. So that's positive. And then it's all about engaging all of the different parts of the community, from, of course, like school students, farmers, fishermen, women's group as well, that are really the leaders in the whole society. So that's been, I think, the most enriching experience and part of the project. You'll always have communities that are way more eager and motivated than others. But I think that's the interesting part, trying to find different ways of gaining the momentum, inspiring many people. And that's been, I think, for me, the most interesting part of the journey.
Well, you guys have Sungai Warriors now, right? That really kind of like has become the backbone also of the organization. Tell us how important your volunteers are in your work.
I think they're essential. And just because now we are able to, it's such a physical and hard work that we are employing everyone full-time. So the Sungai Warriors deserve a real job and like the best social benefits possible. So we now have a team of over 100 people. So it's expanded very quickly. It was initially just Gary, Sam, and I in 2020. And then we were able to progressively grow the team, and the core of the team were volunteers. So that's the beauty of community, of that sense of togetherness and empowerment. And every Friday we organize different cleanups in different places, and that's where the community can really come in and help us, because unfortunately there are so many places that we need to clean up. So everyone should come and help and get dirty as well to get the environment clean again.
Wow. So since it was founded, what would you say has been the impact of Sungai Watch on Indonesia's rivers? What have you guys done through the few years of its existence?
So the key impact metric that we look at currently is the amount of plastic collected, and processed, recycled. And so far we have collected 1.3 million 1.3 million kilos of plastic.
Wow.
So that's quite that's quite a high volume.
Yeah.
But when you see how much is still out there, it's still a tiny drop. So that's why we've really focused on trying to hone the perfect process plans to be able to now copy and paste what we've been able to develop over Indonesia. So we have this model that we call the village model, where we really try to localize our action at a much more local level. So instead of looking at Bali as our, we really look at every village as our core target audience, where we will be based there for 2 to 3 years. And that's where the community engagement really comes in. That's where, collection is the first thing, but then it's really how do you reduce that over time? How do you influence the positive outcome for proper waste management? There are so many existing solutions that we can implement. So how can we be smarter at this? How can we find the best? How can you customize the best solution to each village? That's what I was trying to say in a harder way, but essentially, really customizing what works best for everyone to make it as easy as possible, as implementable as possible. And so that's why our next steps are very much to increase that impact much quicker.
So now the impact is really focused on Bali, right? And the plan is to go beyond Bali or go beyond Indonesia?
Absolutely. So we are already in Java. We have 2 of these village models. So that means 24 people working there full time, 40 barriers already in place. So that's Java is the most densely populated island in the world. So that, and with no waste management infrastructure, you can imagine there's a lot of work to be done there. So again, that's where the village approach is very much how we want to grow the project. So now we're at the very east side of Java, and we'll move further west until we move to Jakarta, the capital city, so that we can try to invite as many decision makers as possible as well. Like if it's just a 30-minute drive, I think the most powerful thing is it's powerful when you see pictures and videos of a polluted site. But when you're on the ground and you walk on layers and layers of trash and you hear that sound, when you see that millions of people are living in these very, very polluted sites, I think it gets your stomach all turned up, and hopefully emotions can influence decisions in the right direction. So that's very much our goal for early next year. And then we get a lot of requests to expand our work to other countries that have very similar issues. We were talking earlier about the Philippines, India, we get a lot of messages from as well, Colombia in South America, Kenya, Nigeria, and the list unfortunately goes on. So it's how do you create this global community of river warriors, and how can people kind of learn from each other as well, because every community has its own requirements. We've learned so much on the ground. I think it's very much how we've expanded, learning, trying, testing, reiterating. And so how, if we can help others build something similar and really tell them what not to do and what to try, that's also a big project that we're working on.
Wow. Kelly, when you look back, kind of how it all began as teens, cleaning up a beach, and then now you have Sungai warriors, not just in Bali, but it's growing. That movement, that sense of responsibility is growing. How do you feel that you've accomplished so much, and to share it with your siblings? It has to be something special.
Yeah, I'm super, super grateful to be able to work with Gary and Sam. I think it's super unique in that we complement each other so well. We motivate each other as well, like in the best way as possible, because we just know each other by heart. The passion is there. It allows us to go way quicker as well. There's no hierarchy to go through when you have to take a decision. It's very much, okay, do we do that? Do we give it our 200% of our energy into it? So that's been truly remarkable. And then in terms of the work that we've done, I think it's the community aspect, the fact that people are reacting in such a positive way and want to take over the project and want to own the project as well. I think that's essential. We want people to feel proud about having clean rivers. We want people to change that mindset that it's just like a trash can, but it really can become a place where they can swim again, because we always hear stories of older members of the community saying, we used to swim in these waterways. Now my kids and my grandkids can't really do it because then they come out and they get rashes. So how, in that sense, even without talking about the environment per se, but how can we get these lively river communities up and running again? Just because it's just so beautiful, not only beautiful, but just warming to enjoy nature's beauty.
Yeah, our waterways are really, it's life, It's
exactly
bringing back life into communities. That's what you guys are doing. And when we heard about what you guys do at Just Wish Foundation, because we what we want to do is highlight organizations that we feel are really truly making a difference in the community. And when we heard about your story and how this started out really as a family thing, and then it became this movement, we're just truly inspired, because this is holding the communities accountable as well, making them feel more invested in their environment, because this is really, honestly, this is not just about the present. This is more importantly about the future generations, world. And we all have to take responsibility in making it a better world for them. So we truly are inspired by you, Kelly, and what you guys do at Sungai Watch. We want to do our part in our own little way. We want to make a monetary donation to you guys in the hopes that this big vision of yours becomes even bigger, more communities are helped. And we truly, truly appreciate you guys and what you do in the community. And just more power to you, your siblings, and to Sungai Warriors, and to Sungai Watch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm really,
Bye.
thank you. Very, very grateful. Thank you for having us. And
Thank you.